Welcome back. Hard to believe it, but yes, VCT China Stage 2 is upon us. We've just come through a phenomenal Masters series, and now we get to start it all over again. I'm Naira Mizuki. I'm going to be one of your casters for today, and I'm joined by the lovely Zach. How are you doing today?
Doing pretty good, Sam. Always good to be on a desk/cast with you, and even better to be back together as a duo. Like you said, VCT season is finally back, and I'm so glad that we're starting here with China a few days earlier. So, get some reps in before the other leagues start. They always start early. It's so nice for them.
Yeah, and really cool to kind of drum up some of the hype as well. Obviously, we got our names out there a little bit as a project doing the English coverage of VCT China. A lot of people have been absolutely chomping at the bit for that. So really exciting to get to be a part of that again here in Stage 2. Now, let's kind of focus in a little bit. Obviously, this season, because it's day one, there isn't a lot of previous games or whatever to talk about. But looking at some of the teams that we've got involved here again this stage, it looks like there's a lot of potential for excitement. And I saw there've been a lot of roster changes recently. I think the most exciting one of all is Letters or HFMD, etc.
Oh, yes.
I'm never going to get to say that name correctly. But yes, having moved over
you don't
to
have to, Tom.
EDG. Exactly.
You don't have
never
to
have
anymore.
to say it right ever again.
Yeah, because they did change his name over to I think it's ZJAC now, just 3 letters. So going the Hong Kong route. So thankfully I remember seeing this guy. I think 2 years ago he gave an interview saying I specifically made this name so that casters will have to say the whole thing. But it seems like his evil, nefarious plans have been foiled. But jokes apart, I'm very happy for the guy, being called up to EDG. Sure, last stage might have been a little bit quieter for them. I think they missed out on qualifying to Toronto. I think a first for the team since 2022 or 2023. But I think they are definitely looking to get back into the action, especially by signing a new player.
Yeah, and I think also when you consider how some of the other Chinese contingent teams did, you look at Wolves and the incredible run that they had at Masters. You got to understand, the level of competition is rising, not just internationally, but in the own homegrown circuits as well. You never really can kind of sit comfortably. But of course, EDG is going to be one of our teams for today, but they're coming up against Titan Esports Club. And this is a team that's really struggled against a lot of the bigger names in this region. They had EVO fairly recently where they lost 3-0 against EDG. But in that same tournament, they had wins over Wolves, Billy, Dragon Ranger Gaming. So they had some really solid results to get themselves all the way into that grand final. I'm curious, how do you feel that today's match might go?
See, I'm just a Concon fangirl, to be very honest. So I'm probably just gonna say EDG are gonna win it. I understand my bias. I'm gonna be honest about it right in the beginning, because I might as well be. But I do think that TEC could very pleasantly surprise us. I think that's kind of the thing about China, right? Even if EDG won champs last year, the tournament after the next one, they didn't qualify. It's like a little bit of a very churning situation where, as team starts popping off. It depends on the meta as well. I think that with the Teho meta shifting away towards Toronto, I think that kind of did affect EDG's performance a little bit, especially with the dynamic shifts. So I think that there's a lot more variability, I would say, in China because I don't think it's called them a newer region at this point. They've pretty much established that they're here to they're very capable of winning global trophies, but I still think that in a lot of ways they're more willing to innovate and stuff. Some of the team comps you see coming out of this region are absolutely fire. I think they're bangers. I'm a Paper X fangirl, so I love watching that kind of stuff. So I think that kind of leads to a little bit more variation in who comes out on top.
Absolutely. We love the schizophrenic comps. It is our absolute fun. But so I asked you how today's game is going to go. We also spoke to our fellow casters that are involved in this project, and we got their predictions for week number 1. And it seems there's a bit of consensus here. EDG for the win, apparently. There's literally not a single person voting for the underdog there. That's a little bit sad. I might go change my vote.
I mean, I don't see my name there probably because I didn't submit the form. I apologize. But, my vote is also for EDG. So I I would probably have to agree with everybody else here. What a wonderful group of people they are too. But yeah, TEC kind of looking to be the underdog according to our talent predictions here. And to be honest, I don't know, because EDG, they've got that new player coming in. They're coming off of a little bit of a difficult time, not being able to make it to their first international in a while. But I feel like that's the kind of thing that actually would motivate this team to be even better on any given day, especially like a player like Hong Kong and stuff. So I think that they're probably looking to kind of overwrite that record. They want to be sure they make it to champs at the very least.
Yeah, absolutely, right? Like that's kind of the be all and end all. You can miss some other international events, it kind of sucks, but as long as you're getting to that final one, that's the most important part. And looking at this kind of overwhelming support for EDG and the fact that there isn't a lot of support for Titan, at least maybe not support, there isn't a lot of faith in this Titan roster at the moment. But if you take a look at how many roster changes they've had recently, it's almost a different team. Now you can look at the Evo results and you can think to yourselves, oh well, it's not a VCT event, so maybe teams aren't taking it as seriously, and that's kind of a conversation that's been floating around the Valosphere for the last few years. Do these do these satellite tournaments matter as much to the teams? But they have made some big changes. They've lost a few players. They've recently, I don't want to say picked up. Lucas was a sub for the team, but now he has moved to the main roster. He's also taken up the IGLing, presumably in the pre-round, because as I understand it, his Mandarin isn't the best. So trying to mid-round and kind of translate on the fly might be difficult, but to do the pre-rounding, to give the general idea, but it's a lot of responsibility on his shoulders coming into a fairly new roster, coming into this more leadership position. So I think that there's a lot of potential for this team with all of these changes, but going up against EDG, and I think no matter how you slice it, that's always going to be tough.
100%. I think one more thing that could help TEC here possibly is the fact that they have Hao Dong on the team. Of course, he used to be part of EDG, so he might have some insight into how the dynamics on that team perhaps work out and stuff. Either way, though, I mean, I think it definitely, like you said, it's going to be a bit of a difficult challenge. We got our teams coming up here, though, and man, I love the stage in China. The walkouts just have so much aura to them.
Yes. Listen, if there's a region that embodies main character energy, it's China. Truly, every single one of these teams is a main character. I love the stage as well. Just the entire setup is phenomenal. And check the crowd as well. Oh, the classics are beautiful. I haven't bought mine yet, and I've been wanting to for a while, but things are tough. But here we go. We start things off with Titan Esports as they make their way onto the stage. The adoring fans standing by, and I love that they're actually okay, it's not a full stadium, but there are so many people that have come out to see their favorite players, competing here and performing on the main stage. And of course, here's Lucas that we were talking about a little bit earlier on. Someone definitely to be keeping an eye out on.
Yeah, I love how enthusiastic they are. Just high fives coming in. It's gonna be a good way to start the match as well. Seeing some fans getting some high fives, saying hi to the crowd, and then getting onto stage. Also, I kind of dig the music. I feel like this is kind of stuff you'd listen to at a techno club in Berlin, but it works here. I think it really does a good job of getting the energy up, and I think that overall, like you said, even though this is going to be a bit of a more uphill battle for TEC, I think being able to do it in this kind of stage, in this kind of arena consistently, really does set up these teams for success at that international stage, because so many of the times you have that conversation around acclimatization, international arenas, the crowd's noise. I think these guys are going to be perfectly used to it at the end of one stage, if not less than that.
Coming into day one and tackling an opponent as strong as EDG, that can be a little bit daunting, but at the same time, it's one of those, we're gonna get it over and done with. We're gonna sort it out now, win or lose. We don't have to do it again. At least not unless maybe we get into playoffs and we have to play them. But for now, you get it over with, and then you can move on and think about the rest of the series. But for right now, it's really a phrase that I've heard from previous casting partners is that you've got to keep focusing on the round in front of you. So, don't be thinking about, oh, the next map and, oh, what am I going to play and what are we going to do? Because, this one isn't going great or whatever. You just constantly focus on what's in front of you right now. And of course, in front of us right now we welcome to the stage EDG, the absolute favorites in this matchup. And of course, just as much aura as their TEC counterparts.
Yeah, I mean, the lighting as well, golden lights, golden stages, they've got that championship trophy to prove it, even if it's been a bit more of a rough year this year. And we were talking about aura. I don't think any man has single-handedly had as much aura captured in a picture as this guy with that off shot. I still use that wherever I can, I'll be honest with you. But yeah, there you go. He's there playing to the crowd. He knows that they love him, and he looks excited to be back on stage. It's been a while for the man, but yeah, excited to see if their debut player, TJC, yes, HDFMI something, the name that we'll never get to say, the name that must not be remembered, at least as a caster, gonna be taking his stage for the first time here, making his debut with EDG, and excited to see how he's gonna be popping off in his first game.
I remember tuning into the Chinese broadcast way back. It was one of their first tournaments or whatever, and I remember asking in the Twitch chat, like, hey guys, what are the casters calling this guy? Because obviously I don't understand Mandarin, so I was just asking in the Twitch chat, and they were like, they're basically just calling him letters. I was like, okay, that works. Also, clearly his plan backfired of making life difficult for the casters, but yes, the name change did come through. We also had on fairly good authority that it wasn't like a pressured decision. It was a decision that he himself made, and I think that's really cool. You come up onto one of the biggest orgs in the, not even just in the scene, but in Valorant. So, you're kind of stepping up, and you're, growing and maturing as a player and as a person, and there's like an image and whatever. There's always these little caveats. So it's really cool to see that he's made it something a bit easier for the Western tongue for any tongue to kind of form around. But I think that is now both teams on stage here before you, TEC and EDG, ready now to compete in the very first match of VCT China Stage 2.
Fist bump, players going up for their huddles here, and I am excited to see how this game is going to go as well, Sam. I mean, you said it perfectly. It's been a quiet couple of weeks, but finally we got that VCT action coming back here. And like you said, EDG, they have a chance to be the first team that does 2x Pete at a Champions Trophy if they can, pull things together this year. And it starts with this particular game. We've got our map veto coming up as well. Seems like we're gonna be seeing Sunset, Corrode, as well as Icebox. And I'm excited because I have never casted Corrode before, so this is gonna be my first time.
I don't think many people have at this point, right? Like, brand new map already in the pool. I was not expecting a day one Corrode. I'm so excited to see the compositions, because it's not like a map 3, oh, maybe we'll get there type of thing. It's map number 2. We're getting there no matter what. And it's TEC's pick, man. Like, the mental gymnastics that must have gone into that, knowing that most other teams probably aren't cracking the brand new map. So if we can be exceptional on the map right out the gate, and if we can really surprise some other teams, then we have a massive advantage in any series that we play. So cannot wait for that one. But of course, before we get to that, it is map number 2. Can't get too ahead of ourselves. We're going to have to see them duke it out on our first map. And Zach, what are our expectations here?
Honestly, Sunset, I mean, I feel like this map has a pretty standard comp. I know teams like ClipperX pull out the Sage and do some crazy shenanigans now and then, but most of the time you're going to be expecting to see that Cypher, maybe a Vice. I think teams also like to sometimes run a secondary deadlock when it comes to that Sentinel role. In terms of controllers, yeah, I mean, I've seen teams mostly opt for the Omen. You get that extra bit of verticality, but then Brim can also work. I think a double controller comp would also not be too bad on this map. Viper, I have seen some teams try to use it. I think it's still the process of optimization. I would say it's more useful for that lurk up role than anything else. But I think on a map like Sunset, where mid is so important, that can be valuable. Duelist is where we should probably see that Neon coming in. Yeah, not very surprised to see Kong Kong on that agent. I feel like this map is the one where he always plays this particular Duelist. So yeah.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense, and that's kind of, I mean, we know how exceptional he can be pretty much on any Duelist that he chooses to play on, so we look forward to that one. I will say what's interesting is that EDG do not have a lot of reps on this map. So I'm very curious to see what this is going to look like, especially because, if I'm not mistaken, this is their map pick. So there's a lot of confidence that comes into that.
Yeah, it is their map pick. I mean, like you said, it's it's been a while since we've seen them pick it up, and I think that they probably have been innovating. I'm also curious to see like how the new player is gonna be fitting in terms of roles, in terms of like how he's gonna be facilitating the rest of the team. I think that but both teams having new players, it's gonna be a little bit more of an even footing. And like you mentioned, Sam, because this map number 1, it's a little bit of a wild card even by EDG standards. I still think that because of the comfort that the players have on their individual agents, I think that might be a key reason why they would have picked it.
Well, we are looking forward to it, folks. Here we go. VCT China Stage 2. We're going to be jumping straight into our first map of the series. It is Sunset. It's EDG's map pick, and it's all on the line here as we kickstart things.
Here we go. It's still starting off here. Already an aggressive peek coming in from Kong. Gets early B main info. Not going to push up too much further, but having spotted at least a couple of players, does seem like it's still going to be a continued default coming out of TEC. They want to try and work the map a little bit, try and find information, a couple of picks. They can probably guess that the Cypher is going to be positioned towards that B side, seeing that's the most common position. But Kong already taking contact here. They know B's been pushed. Sorry, A's been pushed.
Very slow and methodical pistol as well. And, you know, obviously there's the two ways that pistols usually go. It can be an absolute W key, and it can be something slow and steady like this, poking and prodding the map, giving away a little bit of information over towards this B site. But EDG not falling into it. Fantastic stun.
Clean stuff. Already first kill though coming out. Kong taken down. And with that, they're going to be falling back towards the A side. I think that this reclear is a good idea. Chichu moving over to cover mid. I think they kind of have an inkling that the hood is coming towards this A side, but 30 seconds left. They gotta go for the site itself, and well, the spike is rotating with 24 seconds left.
I mean, it's good, right? That little bit of push and pull, prodding the map, but they've given over too much space. Nobody already in mid, cutting off that rotation, getting that first kill, getting a second as well. And now with only 2 players left alive, 5 seconds on the clock here. Plant can come through, but can they hold?
For B2 retake, yeah, gotta be a very difficult hold. Already the aftershock coming through to try and stop things from happening. Howdong gets the first kill, makes it a 3v2, blinds his own teammate, though that might be a little bit of a mistake. Nobody charging in for the final 2 kills. A 4K on the round, perfect positioning in main, and that will win the pistol here for EDG. Got a little bit close for comfort there towards the ends, but I mean, despite that initial disadvantage of TEC getting that plant, EDG bounced back in style thanks to nobody.
Great way to kick things off here. Jeez, beautiful multi-kill there, holding on to that space as far as humanly possible. But that's that first pistol round going in favor of EDG. Relatively clean as well. TEC try to kind of think it through really well and try to play the mind games a bit, really play that space. Unfortunately, nobody just that little bit better. And now they come into this one with very little to work with. So perhaps they can turn some things around, but an eco here would be surprising.
Could have started with that, but just on the edge of the smoke, the deadlock grab misses out. Now forced to fall back a little bit as the siege comes through. I think with that aggressive cam as well, can just hold the crossfire, maintain that B main presence, and I don't know if they're going to be seeing nobody push out this time. They do want to re-clear B main, does detect Howdong, and yeah, that's probably going to keep... I like how the buddy system is going here for EDG there. Nobody really playing apart from each other. Mid seems to be the call though for TEC, and they've got 4 of their players looking to push up here. Timing gonna be everything, and Kong with the help of that neon wall, actually not gonna be able to push through. It's just gonna be the Cypher to try and stop things from happening with a run and gun. I mean, it gets a kill, but only 1.
I mean, that's just the danger of a neon, right? Like, you need to be running in and creating space, but it's so easy to end up giving over more than what you would have wanted to, right? You need your team support there massively. So, you know, T-Virus rushes in towards Market, trying to create that space, but the rest of the team can't move quickly enough. And he gets caught in a prong. There's no one there to set up any sort of a crossfire, to counter, to trade, nothing. And then at that point, everything just kind of starts to fall apart. And again, it's really good space control from EDG, just constantly kind of forcing them into these uncomfortable positions. But we did suspect the round would go that way. They didn't have really the weaponry to fight back. Now, however, they've got guns in hand, but Kang is punished.
A little bit unlucky there, especially because of the... I think if the stun had been there, it could have very well been a huge double coming in for Kong, but instead, Varus more than ready for it, able to find that crucial kill, opening things off here. And I think that TEC realized that they have to pick up the pace a little bit. Gotta be committing fairly early towards A side, or at least looking to take some space on it. You do have 3 players from EDG around this vicinity here, but all of them are kind of isolated kills. Though that sound cue being given away by the Prowler, though I think that is the call that A is where the hit is coming, and rest of EDG, they're going to be rotating shortly. Might be a bit late, though.
Oh, bro, the slide just straight up punished. They don't have their duelist anymore. They're not on site. Lucas trying desperately to do something, but very likely going to get swung on. And yes, he is. This site is just so locked down. And Haodong 1v3, and the miracle cannot come to pass. NJC, newest player for this EDG roster, absolutely holding it down with that Guardian.
Banger debut round there. 3k on the Guardian, bonus for EDG. Gotta do wonders for their economy, especially with 3 players or 4 players still left alive here. Fantastically done. Also the support there from Nobody, I think. Consistently keeping up the spam, being able to make sure that ZJC only had to kind of concentrate towards the elbow inside, keeping that other angle clear, and making sure that you could just hard anchor that site, kind of the teammate and the W duo that you want to have there. Incredible bonus coming through, and Kong still opting to hold on to this Marshall. Beautiful early haunt there. Smoggy happy to capitalize from the elevated angle, and already within like 5 seconds of the round starting, they're a player down, TEC.
Struggling to find space here, but I mean,
oh wow.
Sheriffs go hard. They've already not only equalized numbers, but given themselves an advantage here. They've got a little bit of time to work with before those rotations come in. Can they make a straight into Kang's outlaw? They can trade him out and do so much more. 3 versus 1. Chichu, a great spray down, and now it's 1 versus 1, and somehow Abba with a stinger has to recover the spike and the round.
1v3 to 1v1. Gotta be Deadlock versus Cypher here. Is just one off the ult, so the plants might be able to do it, but yeah, Phantom versus Stinger at that range, not gonna be the most optimal fight for you. And EDG pull it back from the brink. All right, Sam, you know, for a second I felt like we were back in GC there with the headshots coming through, but yeah, they're not able to convert the round. Beautiful timing there from CT. By that player. I don't remember who it was, but yeah, being able to get that lineup on both of those players, I think kind of saved the round. Yeah, Chichu able to take down Coco and Lucas there for the clutch. Really good round.
I'm really impressed with the recovery there because, you know, look, bearing in mind, it's one of those rounds where you're not expecting too much to come out of it because it's a bunch of sheriffs and it's essentially somewhat of an eco. They don't really have massive weaponry to work with. So you're kind of thinking, well, it's likely just going to be a bit of a wash. But they do a ton of economic damage, which in and of itself is massive. They're able to recover a few guns. They get in onto the site. And I was talking about how they've only got a certain amount of time before the rotations can come in. They do not waste a moment instantly moving in. But the problem is on a round like that where you don't have a ton of money, you don't have things really to enable you. You don't have that catalytic util, don't really have flashes, don't really have anything to help you breach the site. So they run out in a line and Chichu is there, arms wide open. I think that if they'd had just the slightest, like maybe if there was a smoke that was, you know, positioned better, or if they had maybe swung differently, that round could have gone an entirely different way. But unfortunately for them, it didn't result in the victory that they were hoping for. So now off the back of a timeout, round 5, this is what I call the momentum shifting round. 2 ultimates in their back pockets, a lot to work with here. Can they bring it back?
Oh, wow. the read was there from EDG. You could see the positioning of the players here. They're still, though, they're going to be able to equalize, but Kong gets caught in the net. Not a good time for him. Still, though, despite that being the case, it's just going to be Haodong left alive as the trade comes through. Sure, Abo eventually posthumously manages to take down Kong, but it's still going to be a 1v2. Haodong caught by the Cypher camp, caught by nobody. The round is going to amount to nothing. Again, one of the speedier rounds that we've seen in the game, but Sam, you saw that in the beginning of the round. EDG already had 4 players ready to go. They were expecting this kind of play to come through after that timeout, and yeah, the read was just perfect.
Yeah, cosmetic reach stun. I think that a lot of this is because, you know, EDG like to play very aggressive, and that energy. And obviously, that can really catch you off guard. It shouldn't. You should somewhat expect it. But the problem is it's Kang, and he's running at you on a Neon, and he is just so difficult to stop, to slow down, to take that space away from. And this is the problem. They're heavily contesting B main. A is also contested, but mid is completely free. So there's a chance here, but again, it's back down onto a very unfavorable buy. Sheriffs and 1 Stinger, and that's going to have to make the miracle happen.
Looks like they again want to contest towards this mid here. There is that crossfire available between Chichu and nobody. Already, 1 player goes down. The Paranoia to try and buy a little bit of space, but again, there's just no way to get through this choke point. It's util after util being dumped in the direction of these TEC players, and finally Coco able to avenge a teammate. But yeah, it is a almost clean round there. Sheriff in hand trying to find at least 1 more, but nobody shuts it down. 6-0 for EDG. And, well, you know, Sam, I know we were saying that EDG hasn't played this map in a while, but somebody in chat did bring up that the last time they played it, it was a 13-4 win for them. So, yeah, I feel like they've still got it, you know?
It seems that way, you know, maybe even though they haven't played it in a while, it's, you know, maybe they just felt they were too comfortable, you know? They were giving everyone a handicap. They were like, it's cool, we just won't play this map for a while. And, you know, just give people an opportunity. The responses from EDG are fantastic as well, because they're playing the map extremities, but as soon as they realize there's even the slightest bit of presence in towards mid, they crunch down on top of it, and all that space is taken away. Now Kang, they know he plays here, so now they're going to try to force him off, and they do just that. Great, they've gotten the space. Now what do you do with it? Spike's still over towards A, so nothing committed just yet.
Try to take it slow. The operator, finally in the hands of Kong as well, does have the ultimate to switch to in case of a difficult situation, or, you know, in case you just want to run it down for a little bit. But again, it's been more of the default heavy play coming out of TEC. Expecting perhaps some kind of aggression to come out of EDG, but so far at least they've been keeping it, well, I would say they've been keeping it cool by EDG standards. Already Kong chomping at the bit, looking to get a little bit more damage to come through. Ooh, that is going to be a good way to at least get him off the angle temporarily, but yeah, as soon as they know that the operator is there, they're gonna be falling back. They want nothing to do with it.
Great reactions from Kang as well, just constantly denying information and space as far as possible.
Oh,
the team
no.
straight into their waiting arms, bro. That could not have gone any worse. EDG just reading them like a book, waiting for them to breach top mid and mowing down every single one of them. That was painful.
Imagine sliding into mid, thinking you're gonna just, you know, pop your neon ults, run a couple people down, and you got not 1, not 2, but 3 people just lying in wait to shoot you, bro. And then you go 1 by 1 with your team. That's like, that's gotta be really painful, to be honest. But yeah, like you said, a clean round coming out of EDG at this point. I think, yeah, 7-0 momentum. We can say momentum is firmly in their favor, and to try and derail it, we're gonna be seeing a second timeout already being called here by the TEC squad. I mean, they got to be able to find a solution to break through this defense that EDG are putting up, because so far, I don't think they've even managed to get the spike down yet, Sam.
They did on the pistol round?
After the pistol.
Since the pistol, they haven't managed to get the spike down, but it's been rough because, again, it's that very reactive play style from EDG. Like, yes, they do kind of pressure the map a little bit, but it's more so towards B main, where it's Kang who's pressuring that main area, whereas the rest of the map is a far more passive style. In fact, if they were actually getting the spike down, I would say that EDG are playing retake, but they're playing full-scale denial, but it's still reactive. Like, it's such a a measured way to deal with each and every one of these rounds, where they kind of poke apart a little bit, and then once they have an inkling, they fully accelerate. And to be fair, TEC, aside from that pistol round where they did kind of hover to A, then pivot to B, they don't do a lot of like faking. So as soon as EDG see a bit of utility or whatever, they're like, all right, bet, this is where we're gonna go. And they instantly cut off the Serpent Head.
Yeah, stop it with their tracks. No trades happening this time around. TEC finally gonna be going for a straightforward execute off the back of that fade ult. It might be an eco round, but they ain't slowing down. Get control of the site. They got a Bucky into play as well, and I feel like if anything can win a couple round, it has to be this one. Expecting the flank already, the Prowler coming through. It is gonna be the breach ult to try and deter the retake, at least for a little bit. Abo, though, the first to strike. Haladong joining in as well with the Sheriff here. And suddenly, it is just gonna be one player left. The rookie for EDG to try and stop this round from coming into fruition. Not gonna be able to do that, and with 4 players left alive, that's gonna be the first round on the board for TEC. I like it, man. When everything else fails, just run it down, and this time it actually worked.
Yeah, I mean, you've got pistols in hand. Like, this is the best time to do it. And to be fair, one of the rounds that they very nearly won was another round just like this, where all they had was like a few sheriffs and a stinger. They run it down onto A. They run over everyone, but Chichu gets a double. This time, he's not allowed to do that. They're able to kind of isolate those duels a lot better, and they don't give EDG the space that they need to stop the push from coming in, or in this case, to go for that retake. But it is just one round, and they're going to need another few rounds if they want to have something to go on in that second half. Still managing to pull a buy through here, but now quite a few of them have been spotted out in B main. This should give over a ton of info to EDG.
That with that info being garnered, gonna be taking a little bit more of a passive play. You do have all of this util left to try and play off of. TEC hoping perhaps for some aggression to come through that they can punish, but instead off the back of that haunt, gonna be looking to move forward and take that site. Deadlock ult already gonna be able to catch out nobody. A bit of a early loss here, I would say. No real way to get them out of that difficult position either. T-Virus, Luke holding towards CT as well. They're going to be holding a very aggressive backline position actually, which is going to make it difficult for the op to find any value. However, this utility, it's going to clear them off the angle as well. Kong already finding the first kill here, and it does seem like with that Cypher ult coming in, it could very much be a doable retake. They don't check the gun! They don't check!
Wouldn't have much mattered as there was a very strong crossfire setup, but it's Chichu. Chichu saved them once before. Can he do it again? No! Haladong to deny. Chichu wanted to stick, but not allowed to do so. Great recovery. And again, I think in that timeout, there's probably a conversation that gets had about Kang is just holding B, and we are letting him. What's that all about? So now they do really well of making sure that if he is in B, they can kind of force him off of his position. But he is also playing a little bit more dynamic now. So that also gives them an opportunity to get in onto the site. But once they get in and they get that spike down, there's very, very little that EDG are able to do. And I think that this is why EDG plays such a heavy denial. Okay, it's only been 2 rounds where they've struggled to retake, but it has looked a little bit messy. And if TEC can continue to kind of lean into that, then they may be in for a chance for the rest of this half.
I think the thing is that they also had those 2 major ults, both the Nightfall as well as the Deadlock ult, to be able to open things off with and take that space. So this round is going to be a bit more of a question mark as to how they'll fare without it. Bit of swap of utility happening, but again, like without the overpowering presence of those ults, it can be a little bit harder to get in. Kong now looking to take early angle and a peek with an op. Knows there is a player there. Holds down the aggressive angle while ZJC finds a kill on that A side. That might be the call for them to possibly back out, at least temporarily. And yeah, with that dark cover coming in, Kong does not want to fight the issue here. Much more optimal to go back, especially with the spike rotating.
Honestly, I don't love that Haladong is the one putting pressure towards B, because if he goes down fighting or posturing against Kang, then TEC lose their smokes. And you are going to struggle to get any sort of space if you don't have those available. However, he does survive, so now they're going to go for this mid push again, but the stun stops T-Virus in his tracks.
Still looking to play spoil sport, continues to do so. Finally gets traded out here, but Kong Kong still on the site, doesn't know where to expect the Omen. And now trying to possibly at least stop the spike from going down, but a little bit late. Okay, well, I mean, sure, the op shot doesn't go your way, but Haodong on track for the clutch, looking to isolate the fights with the help of that dark cover, but only gonna be able to find the first, not more than that. And finally, EDG managed to take down TEC on the retake here. I think, again, the timer was a big factor in this particular round because it came down to the wire. I think they had like 5 seconds as that spike went down.
Yeah, again, you know, this is one of their slower rounds, and their slower rounds are where they tend to struggle. It's the more kind of aggressive, you know, poppy type of rounds where they get the most, space, where they, you know, can actually accomplish a lot more. So I think that now we need to continue kind of hitting that accelerator. They need these next 2 rounds. To go 10-2 in the half would be absolutely devastating, and the buy here is not ideal by any measure. But again, it's going to be a posture in towards A.
Dire is able to find an opening kill. BJC has been finding a lot of the impact in the beginning of the rounds here. Still though, nobody in the corner, looking to do his best to hold on. Has some backup coming in as well. The Nightfall to cost them HP debuffs here, and Smoggy capitalizing off the back of it. Both players incredibly low. It's just Abo with the HP to try and find a trade, but now Kong Kong joining in the fray. Both remaining players stuck towards elbow. No way to get out but through, and there's no way through right now as Kong Kong looking to be the final boss. Haodong caught between all of his old teammates, and yeah, that's just gonna be another EDG round. Crushed.
Oh, that's heartbreaking, because like EDG seem to be reading TEC like a book. Wherever they go, that's where EDG is waiting. So this kind of A pop hit that they've been doing that had worked out for them previously, EDG now have a full 3-person defense line over on that side. So as soon as anything starts to happen, they can shut it down. And again, this more aggressive hold in towards elbow, cutting down or cutting off any attempt at a rotation. It's just, it's domination at this point. TEC, it really does feel like they're struggling to get any sort of leeway. Last round in the half now, and it's Stingers, a Guardian, and a Sheriff. This could not be worse for TEC.
9-2. I mean, if they can get one more round in the half, they can at least bank on the Valorant equivalent of the play that must not be named Curse, but I don't know. At least here right now, with the kind of economy they have, it's looking to be a very hard task, especially since the only ult that they really have to try and capitalize off of is Rolling Thunder. Already though, early push towards mid. Abo with the Sheriff making things count here. Kong Kong caught between 2 neon walls. Oh my god, actually gets the no scope onto T-Virus. Well stunned. That is absolutely illegal. Doesn't get shut down though. And Abo with 3 on the Sheriff makes it a 1v2. It's all up to Chichi right now. Have the Omen ults for some info. I think now they're just gonna be rotating. Oh wow.
Beautiful clutch there from Haodong. Great play off of each other. You know, Abo takes that first bullet, plays a bit more baity, and ultimately allows for a trade to come out there. Honestly, it's crazy to me that TEC's most successful rounds often come down to these low buy / eco rounds. But, I mean, whatever works. As long as you can get to the other side of the round, that's all that matters. Shot through the smoke like, as well. They're just, yeah, he can't believe he hit that. Like, it's absolutely outrageous. But as of 9-3 half, Zach, do we believe in the 9-3 curse?
To be honest, not really. I don't believe in it. I believe in it if the pistol goes their way. Then there's a chance, you know, but or I believe in it if like Fnatic's playing, I guess. But yeah, in general, no. What about you, Sam? How do you feel about the... Oh, okay, I love this segment. I like... What would you pick here?
Is neither an option?
I think that's a fair option, to be honest. I would agree with you there. I feel like everyone's just going for Corrode. Like, yeah, this kitten collection ain't really like that much of a banger, bro. I don't know about you, but... It doesn't even look that shiny.
Maps. So I suppose if I had to choose, I'd probably go for the Corrode pick. That does seem the better of the two. But
I do like playing the Odin because I'm a Degen, so I think I would also go for the Corrode pick. No, I found like a hack. Okay, I've been playing Cypher a lot, and I just plant the spike. I put like a little one of my cyber cages on top of the spike, like exactly where it is, and I just go sit somewhere 2 walls away with an Odin, and the moment they tap it, boom. Because, you know, you can't mark things anymore, but you can still spam your own cypher cage.
It's crazy though, because we took a cent and we made it not paper anymore, and then we put in a whole new paper dollhouse. Like, it's crazy to me. I suppose that it's a replacement of sorts, but yeah, we'll see how that one goes. We've yet to get there, but we will get there potentially very shortly. 9-3 now as we kickstart our second half. Oh my god, Zach, please.
If you think about the thickness of the map, you know? I just wanted to use that. I'm sorry. I was thinking about it for like 2 minutes. What would be like a terrible analogy I can drop on people?
Oh,
ooh.
These sheriffs have been nasty, bro.
I swear, I feel like TEC has found a lot of incredible impact with the sheriff compared to their rifles, like the way this game has been going so far. Already know Kakang looking to get aggressive, caught by the stun. This time not going to be cosmetic though, no trade incoming either. It's just going to be TEC with the pistols across the board, a flawless one to boot. And I think that's exactly the kind of kick that they needed to start the second half off. And you know, so now I'm marginally more inclined to believe in the 9-3 curse, just marginally.
Nah, I'm still not. Nope. Even with a pistol, there's still so much more that needs to get done here. But it is obviously a step in the right direction. And as I said, TEC's sheriffs, particularly Albo, like Albo really impressed me in that first half with just how nasty his sheriff shots came to be. There are actually some players where I look at them and I just go, why are you buying a rifle? Just buy a sheriff forever. But we move. Round number 2 here in the second half, and already an opening frag. This is outrageous.
Very nicely done there. Aodong starting things off, 2 kills down, and the rest of EDG in a much more difficult spot. They at least have control of the spike, but yeah, it's gonna be very difficult for them to get onto side because you got 3 players from TEC watching like hawks to see where exactly their good push is going to be coming from. Aodong just look away for a second to put smokes down, spots out all 3 players. All right, I think just going to be calling for backup here. The Flash, the Marshal, and the Guardian. Yep, 3 for Aodong and the round for TEC. Another flawless to come through.
That one way was beautiful. I mean, it's a standard one way, but it does enable those first 2 kills to come through. Easiest follow-up of their lives, and of course better weaponry, so very easy to take full advantage of that. Now this is where the big question marks come in, because this is where we're going to have rifles for EDG. Yes, okay, Kankane loses his life very early in that round there on that Neon with a pistol, but now he's actually got, oh, it's a Bulldog. I feel like a Neon and a Bulldog just go together. It's that same chaotic energy.
I don't know. I think that it's gonna be a bit more of a competitive round, hopefully. I think that the problem here that EDG is kind of facing is that they're not really able to take the initiative. This time around, hopefully it's gonna be a bit of a counter. It's the blind versus the stunned, and the blind come out on top, being in that close range. 2-for-1 trade at the end of it, looking to re-peek, but nobody immediately there for the punish. And I think that this time they might have bitten off a little bit more than they could chew. Aodong though still looking to play it strong, able to get 1 before going down. And yeah, Abo for a second I thought could be the linchpin of the round there to try and turn things around, but no, it's just gonna be fighting the kills, and they don't need to get the spike down because they just take everyone else out instead.
Most random thing ever, but I want that chair. Like, did you see the back of that chair? It is beautiful.
I like the front more. It looks exceptionally comfy, bro.
Fab, like that's got the beautiful like lotus flower on the back and like the color. Oh, it is so pretty. Anyways, yeah, this is what I was worried about. Guns in hand, they've pushed back against the aggression in A main, and TEC kind of crumble a little bit there. Haven't really set up the protocols to the same level of crispness as what we saw from EDG. So they do kind of get taken advantage of there. I do like this pivot up towards mid. Like, getting that early info is such a game changer here.
I like this continuous reactive play as well. You know, you use the Fade util, catch presence, then immediately come in some of the Breach or the Omen util in trade. Kong willing to trade that wall for a possible Paranoia, but gonna be using it to fall back instead of a little bit. So that's gonna probably draw this rotation away from mid back towards A as they look to go forward. Kong already taking headshot damage there. The 140 eventually gonna be putting him in his grave, and oh my god, the rifles for TEC are just doing some singing right now. Smoggy trying to make a play, but nobody from EDG is gonna be able to find any kind of foothold. It's just gonna be the rookie left alone. EJC versus the world, a 1v5. I mean, minor constellation does have the spike, but aside from that, it's a fortress that he has to walk into right now, and oh, just gonna be one for himself.
That felt like it could have been a double up, but unfortunately completely denied. This is much better from TEC. Instead of trying to take the aggressive fights that they kind of struggle a little bit more with, instead they play that little bit more passive. That first kill onto Kang is kind of crazy though, because the follow-up from the rest of the team isn't there. And even watching this replay, every single one of these kills is a 1-for-1, or like a singular peak, to put it that way, right? It's not like there's three people that are just there to deal with, to attempt to trade or whatever. It's like a single push, and then you kill that person, and then the next person peaks, and then you kill that person. It feels like a bit of a maybe a miscommunication on EDG side for how they approached that round, because it was very messy and it wasn't terribly coordinated. Not really what we are used to seeing from this squad. But good reactions, it felt like, from TEC, how they kind of moved to reinforce mid and then so quickly responded to the shift over towards A.
Yeah, I think that it was quite difficult. I think that, yeah, like you said, that looked very unlike EDG, so probably a good time to take a timeout and figure out, like, okay, you know, maybe ease off on the 1v1s, guys. I know we're feeling it. I know we had, like, a very dominant 9-3/7-0 start, but, you know, we're used to, we got to play a little bit more as a team. So just a bit of a cooldown call coming in, I presume, from the timeout here. I would be curious to see what exactly was said during this particular timeout, seeing that it's EDG's first one. But yeah, heading back into the map, I think that EDG still does have a bit of an economy. Never mind, they don't. They're broke as heck. My bad. Don't listen to me. But yeah, they got that hero bulldog. But yeah, aside from that, it's just gonna be a speed run through a site.
Oh, bro, that Leo was nasty. That gets so much early info. But of course, with it being a pistol round, you're not really playing super kind of anti-info. You're just trying to garner some semblance of space. Now they've cleared up the left side of top mid, vaguely, with a prowler. Got a little bit of poking and prodding over towards B. I like this. Not the Omen, but in fact the Cypher, which is kind of Cypher's wheelhouse. Now they pull back. Oh man, nobody could be in so much trouble here, but if he times this right... No, shut down! And Kang as well, caught on the cross. And that could be round.
They know that B-side has been cracked open as well. You've still got the deadlock utility to play off of an Abo. Happy to confirm that kill. Dodges the counter stud as well. And now you got 3 players from TEC just hanging around the site. They know that the spike is here as well. Of course, EJC was able to pick it up. Looking to get a cheeky bit of spam in the corner there. But yeah, it's just gonna be one player versus the world against EJC, left by himself without a pocket to really stand on. And this time not gonna be able to find a single kill. It's Abo to get a 3K and the flawless here for TEC. And you know, I think, yeah, get your celebration in. You know, you gotta have that psychological impact there. Well played by them.
Again, Abo like just continues to really impress me. Not so much on the whole, you know, deadlock side of it, but just raw individual skill, getting a lot of these multi-frags and really making some of these rounds a lot more doable. 15 and 12 at the moment. TEC slowly but surely closing that score gap. And now EDG again, back in the money, back in the buy, weapons in hand. Slow things down a little bit here. Gather some early information.
Bit of spam, not gonna really catch anything, but I think they took care of that wall early on, so gonna be one less thing that they have to worry about if they are heading towards the site. Looking to farm up that Nightfall as well could be a useful asset if nobody's able to get a kill or get that spike down. They also do have that Rolling Thunder, so a lot to work with potentially here for EDG. Could be a really massive swing round just off the back of the ults. They don't really, TEC doesn't really have anything to counter with. Like, they're very close to some of them, but they don't have those ults online yet, and that could be a difference maker in this round. 3 rounds, what stands between TEC and equalizing, and EDG and victory, so yeah, I think this round could very well decide how the game is going to end up going. Smoggy, though, finds a crucial opening onto Lucas. They managed to bait out some of the Deadlock utility as well. Summons over a little bit of a rotation there. 3 players positioned towards this B side, but with 30 seconds left, they really have to pick where they want to go, and I don't know. That's Smoggy going down. That's the Omen will take it out of play.
Yeah, but look how much space has already been garnered from nobody in towards A. Now all they have to do, there you go. The cage comes up to allow them to cross. The spike's going to be able to get planted, and they should be able to set up here for a solid post plant. But there it is. The overdrive managed to get one before being traded out. But Kang is there to back it up. And now the Nightfall to come through, but shut down. So now nobody. And Kang have to deal with just Coco, and it's the easiest cleanup of their lives.
We called it. The ults, they made the difference in that particular round, and even with the Rolling Thunder as well as the Nightfall committed, it still came down to a 2v1 at the end of it. So yeah, I mean, nice opening by Smoggy there. The trade back was immediate, and I think that the fact that they were able to mitigate the damage of this Neon ultimate to just 1 kill could have been also a key difference maker in that particular round. That could have been so much worse, especially since the Paranoia hit I think not just one player, but 2 of them. So yeah, 11-7 right now. Still gonna be some money in the bank for TEC. They're gonna be able to, in fact, put up an operator as well very early on this A line. But the problem with that is that he seems to be where the spike itself is positioned. Just main control taken early on and given back. EG not wanting to commit too early, which I think is a perfectly good call.
Like this aggressive stance from T-Virus, and that's going to shut down most of A. That's not where we're posturing. There's a lot of presence in towards mid now. Players have been spotted out. A little bit of util there just to garner a bit of space. But with everyone being spotted, EDG now make the call to back away, hoping that they've drawn some rotations. But T-Virus is still there. He's still waiting. No one is going to walk into his crosshairs, though, as the Annihilation comes through. Does manage to connect onto one. They'll save him, but he'll get taken out by Albo anyway. And there it is. T-Virus activated. EDG just so all over the map. Or rather, yeah, just so difficult for them to get some solid space. Now the spike's been lost, and nobody has to 1v3.
Oh man, it looked like EDG were going to be able to get it back in their wheelhouse. But yeah, if anybody can pull off the 1v3, make that a 1v2 now, it has to be nobody. Spike was dropped, and they know that he has to go towards A. So both players from TEC just looking to regroup, hold hands, and then get play together to make sure they can confirm this round. They left the spike out in the open, and I think nobody doesn't really expect that. They have to, he has to just run towards the site here. 5 seconds left on the clock, has to stick this plants. There's no way for him to be able to do so, and TEC get their 8th round on the board. Beautiful play from Luca there, being able to find 2 kills as well as the spike getting dropped there. Yeah, kind of saved the round, I think, for that team.
Yeah, it really did feel like, I was saying, you know, EDG kind of all over the map a little bit, poking and prodding here and there, but not really finding any sort of space, and they do kind of trade back a little bit, but by that point, TEC have already taken the vast majority of the control, because not only do they have the kills, but what enables that is the fact that they have so much map presence. They're so kind of in EDG's faces the whole way through. Now EDG back down onto an unfavorable buy. Kang with the 1 hero rifle to try and carry them through this round. TEC close to evening things out, but now they've baited out that op shot. So now they know where the op is, and they can, yes, disengage.
Haodong, I mean, Classic versus Phantom probably not going to go in your way, and Haodong happy to clean up that kill. I think that Nobody has baited out a bit of the deadlock utility, so looking to go back towards this east side. The problem here is that that wall is still very much into play, and the time that it takes to break it is going to be plenty of time for the rotation to launch themselves into action here. You've already got Abo, you've got Hawadong lying in wait. EDG at least looking to get that spike down. Kangkang punished for going a little bit too aggressive right now. Gun gonna be recovered here by nobody at the very least. They still do have that hero rifle. That tripwire though, it gets broken early on, so one less thing that they're gonna be able to capitalize off of here. The stun combos, that's just absolutely beautiful. They clear every single corner, and there's just no way for EDG to hold. A methodical retake from TEC, and they get themselves a 9. 2 rounds, Sam. 2 rounds is all that stands between these two teams now. Not bad for a 0-7 start.
Yeah, definitely. And what I did find really interesting, they actually managed to bait out the Nightfall as well really early on. Like, after that first op shot misses, the Nightfall gets invested, perhaps as a precautionary measure, because once that shot misses, your Opper is very much in danger, potentially, of being overrun, particularly, you know, if a team's coming through with pistols or whatever. So they throw out the Nightfall. The Nightfall doesn't really hit much of anything. I think it hits them on the tail end as they're escaping, because they're not actually pushing A, they're moving. So now into this round, they don't have to worry about the Nightfall. They've baited out a lot of those ultimates. Now it's only from the shadows that they really have to deal with. So EDG in with a bit of an advantage in this round.
And they managed to at least get those ults out of the way. Abo already charging up one more of those annihilations. Feel like he's been having a pretty good success rate with being able to trap poor EDG players in that tornado vortex. This time though, EDG looking to at least work their way up a little bit towards the site. Oh, the timing on that cage could have just been a little bit better. Haunt's gonna end up catching all of these players out and possibly trying to slow them down, but instead Kangkang already able to work his way up elbow, take all of the space, and I think with that it does open up this A side for business. Spike gonna be able to make its way down. The rest, oh my god, the rest of, I was gonna say the rest of them are just rotating in, but Chichu with an absolutely nasty kill. Look at Abo though, looking to find the trade, not gonna work out, and that's the neural theft. Position garnered, a 4v2, and yeah, Chichu just running for his life, gets the kill. No shorty action, nothing happening at all. And Coco, well, I mean, might just have to save here.
Bro, just a lurking Cypher killing more than half the team. Like, what is this, bro? The first kill into top mid, the follow-up onto Abo as well, and I was surprised that Abo actually lost that duel because he's been looking so snappy with it. Coco actually looking to push this. That's not the best choice, as Chichu will get his 4th on the round. Just a phenomenal performance from him. And it really does feel like Battle of the Sentinels in a lot of ways on this map. And again, not necessarily when it comes down to util and how that's kind of enabling the rest of the team, but the fact that both of these Sentinels are nasty fraggers. Look at this, bro. It's just, it's unreasonable how much a Cypher is able to get done here. But it puts EDG on map point on their map pick, and now TEC 3 rounds separate them from an overtime.
Yeah, a bit difficult. At least they've started to get those ults into play. 3 off of the Rolling Thunder, 1 off of the Annihilation. Could be the linchpins here. In the meantime, Luke looking to take an aggressive angle onto this A side. Does clear out main completely, but you still do have this angle of elevation that you want to watch out for possibly. And oh, okay, that was very, very close. Too close for comfort. Stuns to come out as well. The Haunt this time around not going to be catching anybody. I think EDG, they managed to learn their positioning to be a little bit more accurate, and now I'm expecting to see if Smoggy can find a kill. Yep, perfect expectation, perfect damage. Okay.
Brother. I mean, at this point, it's just not fair. Okay, spike planted. Coco once again has to battle the world, but will not be allowed to make it happen. EDG with a somewhat stressful beginning to that second half. Very quickly turn things back around in their favor. And let's face it, having a 6-round lead at the half certainly gave them every opportunity in the world to shut down any attempts at a recovery. EDG now go up 1-0 in this series. And honestly, they've looked incredible. Like, the defensive line from TEC looked a lot better. They had some decent protocols in place, but the sheer aggression and the fragging potential of this EDG roster was absolutely out of this world.
100%, and I think we saw so many individual hero moments come through as well. You know, in the first half, we saw nobody like pop off so many of these rounds. Pichu was an absolute star as well. I mean, I still think this game could have very easily gone to overtime, or it could have even been a 13-11 for TEC if Pichu hadn't gotten that heroic 4K to get EDG to match point. I think that it was also a great debut coming in for DJC. I think that being able to get that 3K in that bonus round really just set EDG up for that 7-0 start. But, you know, 7-0, you're starting 7-0. I don't know if your game score should be 13-9 at the end of it. That's all I gotta say about that.
You know what? It was a valiant attempt at a recovery, but unfortunately it does get shut down. So all those questions that we have about how EDG were going to look coming onto a map that they haven't played in quite some time, all of those concerns are, you know, put aside, questions answered. They still look very clean. Perhaps their attacking side could be cleaned up a little bit more, given how much more dominant their defensive side looked. But ultimately, coming out with the victory on the other side is the only thing that matters. They've looked so strong here, and it does set a worrying precedent for the rest of the series. Of course, our next map is going to be Corrode, and we're not sure how that's going to go at all, because we don't have any tape, we don't have any information.
I think this might be the first Corrode in VCT, so, you know, if you think about it, it's pretty cool we get to cast it.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I also don't know what to expect from it, to be honest. I'm hoping to see a lot of Odin action because I'm an evil person. That's about it.
Valid. We had a little bit of team comms here, but obviously can't gather too much from the content, but they sound very calm, which I think is really cool in and of itself, right? There's no panic here. It's very much like we know what we need to do, make the right calls, and then at the end of the round, you get to absolutely lose your mind. And of course, here is our MVP of the match. Of course, it had to be Nobody. Fantastic performance from him throughout this. You know what? I still have my Sentinel bias, but it can't be denied just how much he got done throughout this map.
You know, Fate is supposed to be the agent that controls nightmares and stuff. This guy was definitely a nightmare on this map for the opponents. Like, I mean, forget the 3 KDA on the Fade. It's more like his Haunts, I think his Prowlers. I think he had like a Nightfall every 3 or 4 rounds, and considering that's like a 9-point ult, and he wasn't the one farming the ult orb, that's kind of insane. So, yeah, Nobody just being able to absolutely demolish the opponents, I would say, with not just utility, but also with some insane frags. I think the Bulldog might just be his weapon at this point in those bonus rounds and in those kind of awkward buy rounds. But overall, when you look at the scoreboard, you can see that all of EDG's players have been able to kind of pop off at that level. In terms of the stats, things are still fairly even here. I just think that the post plan could have been a little bit better. Not that they had many chances to get the spike down, unfortunately, but you know, I felt like it could have been a bit stronger there. They just really struggled to find an opening in the defense for EDG in a lot of that a lot of the first half.
What I did find interesting is that TEC had 4 flawless rounds. EDG didn't have any. That's kind of a crazy stat to think about when EDG came out on top of that, 13-9. It's, by most accounts, that's not a terribly close scoreline. So surprising, but it does go to show that TEC in the rounds where they were performing, they really did perform. They had some incredible, rounds and some really solid kills that helped to kind of propel them that little bit further. Unfortunately, just not enough to grab that win at the end. But, you know, we mentioned a little bit earlier, we're going to be moving on to our second map soon, and that's going to be Corrode. And honestly, so many questions about what could happen here. You said it, right? First Corrode of VCT. So, like, what comps are they going to play? I can tell you what I think would be a good comp on Corrode, but at the end of the day, a lot of these regions do really crazy things that we don't necessarily expect. So, pretty cool. Waiting to see what that is going to be. Now, I believe that we are more or less ready for our break. So let's. We're going to be back very, very shortly, guys. So thank you, everybody, for supporting us. And if you wouldn't mind just supporting us through the ad break as well, every little bit really does help to keep this project going and to keep it alive. Remember, it's a passion project from those of us that do run it. But it's not even going to be a long break, and that makes it even easier for you, right? So just keep it up on your screen, keep the support going, and when we come back, we'll have Corrode for you. And welcome back, everyone. It's VCT China Stage 2, the very first day of Stage 2, and our one and only match of the day, EDG versus TEC, Titan Esports. And, well, so far so predicted. EDG currently 1-0 in the series after winning their first map, if you are just joining us. 13-9 it was on Sunset, a very dominant first half. Second half, a little bit more back and forth. They conceded a few more rounds than maybe they would have wanted to, but they did come out on top. Now, the huge excitement of the day. We're moving on to map number 2 of Corrode. Titan Esports throwing in an absolute curveball coming into this series with that map pick. I think I speak for most of us here at production and maybe a lot of you in Twitch chat as well, but honestly, injected into my veins. I'm so ready for this map, Zach.
Yeah, I'm so excited to cast it. It's gonna be, I think, for my first time casting it. And honestly, I've been playing a little bit of it. I told you about my Odin abusing strats. If anyone from chat steals that, I want credit for it. But trust me, it works, you know? Seriously, post plant, put a spike down, put a Cypher Cage on it, and spam with an Odin. Your opponents will hate you, but you will get RR for, like, the ages. But, yeah, anyway. Back to the game, though. I mean, in terms of agent comps, you were saying that you could, like, you had, like, some ideas for what you'd like to see, Sam. So, what would be, like, your optimal agent comp on Corrode?
Okay, optimal, that's putting a lot of pressure on me, but I think that there are some agents that work really well on this map. I think that you're looking at something like a Fade for your info gatherer. I think that a Cypher can really help out, particularly because it's an early map and you're still kind of figuring things out a little bit. Having something that is, let's face it, Cypher has a lower skill floor than the other Sentinels. Now, that's not to say that he's an easy agent, but compared to them, the floor in order to get like the minimal efficacy out of it, that's the your go-to, right? Traps in a camera and Bob's your uncle. So I think that you definitely want to bring that one out. I think that looking at something like a Neon could be good as well, just because of the sheer size of the map and how much running around there's gonna be. I can't remember what I called it. I think I called it Sunset with extra steps. That's kind of what the map is giving. So to have that mobility, and then of course if you're talking mobility, I really want to see the Omen. Hell yeah, brother! A lot of what I said is actually coming to fruition here. But what's really cool for me is Gecko. You know what? That wasn't even in my thought process, but I love it.
Yeah, I love it too. I think that especially because of how tight some of these choke points can be, you know, you just sit little bro and let him get the spike down, and then you just sit behind a wall and spam. I mean, I'm just looking for spam strats here. I'm being a bit cringe like that, but the rest of the comp as well. I think for TEC, I'm kind of digging this double controller pick, especially because the Omen again that gives you that TP, lets you like get past some of these tight corners, make a play with the shadowed step, for example. But also, Abo on that Astra is gonna have so much value in that post plant. Like forget just the pulls, you know, the stuns, the way that the map is positioned. I think that it is gonna be a very fun way for you to kind of get that post plant in. I'm not sure about not having a sentinel though, because like you said, there's a lot of openings on this map, can make things very difficult if EDG decide to go for their usual aggressive plays. I think that means that you're perpetually going to have one of these controllers on the lurk. I'm guessing it's going to be the Astra because of the global utility.
All right, well, here we go, folks. Very interesting compositions coming through on our second map of the series, EDG versus TEC. Who will come out on top? Double Initiator versus Double Initiator and Double Controller with no Sentinel. I wasn't sure what to expect, but I have not been disappointed. TEC going to be starting on this defensive side, and with the composition that they have, might be a little bit of a struggle in this first half, but let's see how things play out.
I think that seems like the early start is going to be towards mid here. EDG on the attacking side, already being pushed back by the Gecko. Util down the stun as well to top things off here as they make an execute towards the A side. They test out mid, but they get themselves onto side here. Abo trying to stay alive in the smoke, but it's going to be Kong Kong on top of the box, raining down death before Coco shuts him down. Chichu, as always, looking to be a menace on the lurk, but instead gonna be forced off mid, making it a 3v3. Both Lucas and Coco, though, they've taken the scars of that battle. Two players looking to be quite low, and from Heaven, it's going to be DJC to get that information with that 0 point towards CT. They've got the crossfire. I think the one that can break things apart here is going to be the Fade in the corner, but it's a 1v3 now for Lucas.
Oh, 13 HP as well. Yeah, nope. Ferrari Ghost goes absolutely hard. And that's a great round from EDG, man. And it was looking a little bit messy. Towards the beginning there, they do get that spike down, but they lose a lot of players, and it's kind of back and forth. But trades generally favor your attackers. That is kind of the nature of these TAC FPS games, and they use that advantage perfectly. Great post-plant setup on the site as well, playing around these corners really, really well. And oh, for a map that we weren't too sure what to expect on. All right, why are we playing rock, paper, scissors, guys? I'd love to know what that conversation was about. Anyway, let's jump into our second round here, as TEC, of course, not going to be able to buy into this round. And EDG actually opting to only buy 3 Bulldogs. That, I mean, they are really thinking... maybe not thinking forward, but really thinking util, right? They want to make sure that they've got everything that they have or that they need to enable these rounds.
Yeah, A-Stack not really going to be working out here for TEC. This time around, though, you can see Avo looking to just hold down Heaven, make sure that none of these players from EDG can get up there like we saw DJC do in the previous round. Yeah, Avo has company now. I don't even know if they're gonna be trying to go in for this retake. Maybe they don't want to give any of these Altors away. They're just gonna be lying in wait for someone to make a play. You got the Omen TP through though. Oh my god, yeah, that's a Bulldog hand delivered, signed, stamped, and deals. And Jichu in the corner looking to rain down some hellfire on this team. Gets 3 kills before being shut down. It's all up to nobody though. And Kong gets a little bit expensive towards the end, but they save 2 out of those 3 Bulldogs, so not entirely awful.
Well, considering that all they bought weapon-wise was Bulldogs, I mean, they're like I said, right, thinking forward, thinking about what that next round is going to look like and what they're going to be able to bring into it. I don't think that's the worst call to make. You know, relatively clean round for them. They lose a few more players than maybe they would have wanted to, but ultimately brings them up to the 2-0 score line. And now we move into the next. It's the partial bonus, 1 Vandal versus a full slew of rifles from TEC after losing that pistol round. This is the moment for that comeback to happen. And they make it so. Great map control as well. I love how they've set up here.
I mean, so far it's just been these the team of EDG sliding into the sites without trouble getting that spike down. But this time, the crossfire, it works out perfectly. And that's kind of the problem when you use that wingman to plant. If you get the plant down, that's great. But if you don't, that's going to be spike lost in your opponent's territory. So yeah, EDG already in a decently untenable position. They've lost that hero rifle as well. So yeah, it's just going to be up to the remaining players in main to try and make something happen. And I mean, that's kind of another problem when you have that Astra and Omen on the opposition. You're just going to be able to keep cycling these smokes back and forth. T-Virus Luke playing up close and personal might actually be able to get himself into the Omen smoke here if he chose to. But yeah, I mean, with the amount of aggression that TUC are showing, EDG, I just don't think they have a way back into this round unless they screw up somehow very badly.
I mean, this has been fantastic so far. Just great space denial, control of the spike now. Very little to work with here on the EDG side. And every area of the map is completely shut down as well. And part of me is like, well, maybe you just back away. They've got a little bit of util still here to play with. The Astra Star pops. Chichu's going to be good for 1. Smoky to get 1 as well. But that's all she wrote. 2 kills is all they're going to be able to get in that round as TEC get themselves their first round on the board. And they do so holding on to 3 of those rifles. And there's a couple of Bulldogs to pick up if they... oh wait, no, I'm being silly. They save 3 rifles. Why on earth would they do that? So ultimately, pretty good round, all things considered.
Yeah, 3 rifles, that's going to be great for their economy. So yeah, I'm going to be able to fully invest in this particular one as well. EDG now looking to show their presence towards this A site instead. Not something that we've really seen coming out of them previously in this map before. They are going to be having the Thrash to lead the charge here. That smoke spam not going to be working out. Never mind, I spoke too soon. Smoggy goes down. Haodong tucked away into the corner. Gets another as well. Kongkong finally able to find a kill to avenge his fallen teammates. But Coco there for the trades. It is going to be all up to Chichu. And I mean, he's been incredible in the past. Knows the position of both of these players. Tries to get the isolated fight, but Abo wins out the 1v1. And TEC, they find another round on the board. That was two major ults that EDG spent, and they didn't even get the spike down for their troubles. Ouch.
Yeah, I mean, that was a very, very chaotic round. They were attempting to do... So I said that this map feels like Sunset with extra steps. And so A definitely feels like you could have a similar approach to it, right? Those very aggressive, direct hits that might work out, but in this particular instance did not. And I also think that Chichu is a little bit quick on the draw there after throwing out the neural theft, instantly swinging, and unfortunately that ult basically goes to nothing. So now EDG back down onto broken by one bulldog for nobody. Very, very little that they're going to have. And as you said, after using 2 ultimates in that last round, they're going to have to try and rebuild back into that. TEC firmly in the driving seat.
I mean, it's going to take a while as well. Sure, the Thrash does charge up fairly fast, but seeing that's now an 8-point ult, yeah, probably at least a couple of rounds before nobody gets it back online, even with the spike plants and the, you know, everything else coming through. Nobody, though, has managed to low-key sneak his way into sight here. Might not expect the peak coming through, but okay, the crossfire gets him in the end. Had to be a little bit faster on the trigger there. T-Virus Luke, though, now looking to take a little bit of space, cause a little bit of damage. Almost spams Chichu through, but yep, just gonna be a 1-for-1 trade so far. And EDG once again forced to kind of back away, looking to regroup towards this A side, but both Haodong and T-Virus Luke are kind of just waiting to some major damage right now. Lucas towards mid has the haunt recharge. He's gonna be able to put it down and get that information once again on, oh my god, the sheriffs from Kongkong and Smoggy. Absolutely insane, but 24 seconds on the clock. They have to go towards the site.
And I mean, they have the numbers advantage. Kang gets one more, and again, it's Coco! 1 versus the world. We saw this so many times on Sunset. But how much could he realistically get done here? It feels like exits might just be all for the day. He's gonna push this, and he's going to get punished for it. Kang with 3 kills on that round. A fantastic thrifty round from the EDG squad. Great control of the map. And I think that it's crazy that nobody can take so much space on B completely uncontested. He just kind of slips through all those boxes in the way. But despite that, he doesn't actually get much for it. He's instantly shut down as he attempts to try and take a fight. And it's the recovery from Kang and Smoggy with the sheriffs that ultimately put them in a winning position. That was a round that they shouldn't have come out on top of. But with some flair and a bit of fancy footwork, they will reclaim the lead. And of course, now that's going to be TEC down onto a broken bye.
They're going to be able to push out towards B main 3 players too, but okay, Kong, you're not the only one who can hit a shot with the sheriff, says Lucas, immediately backing away as well. So that's going to be 1 pick already garnered here. There's so many of these sharp angles, and I think that EDG, the rounds that they're playing fast are the ones that they're really being punished for. It's just going to be Chichu left right now, and I mean, he's been incredible in the past, but a 1v5, bit too much to ask for here, and it might have been a lesser buy, but it sure didn't feel like it the way the T's pioneered, positioned themselves in that round. Kill after kill, angle after angle. I think that, yeah, you need a little bit more patience from you.
The reverse eco is actually quite wild. And I mean, I love the way that they play it. They just kind of play... it's not even cat and mouse, bro. They just held angles and they chilled and they waited for EDG to walk into their crosshairs. The patience out of them was fantastic, and it's exactly what they needed. Everything's so topsy-turvy and on its head. EDG now back in a position where they don't have much to work with. However, they have null command and they have overdrive, and those could really crack open a site. If they can get an opening frag here and pick up a gun, then maybe we can see that happen. And there's that opener.
Oh, wow. That's what they needed to start things off here for sure. Still though, Sheriff and Hanchi-Chu now being hunted down. Is gonna be baiting for his teammate, and oh my god, another cosmetic stun for the record here. Haodong though shuts Kankan down. Beautiful wallbang shots immediately trade, and now it's just Abo versus the world. A 1v3. They've gotten control of A site, and Abo does have the cosmic divide, but has to be able to find these kills. They are isolated, but I don't know if he's gonna expect the off angle in the first place, and yep. It's going to be ZJC to come out on top. All right, I want to know what he was saying there, because that didn't sound very nice, but I dig it, bro.
Yeah, I mean, new player energy goes hard, and this is definitely an EDG that are looking to make a resurgence after a disappointing Stage 1 result. They might be off to the right foot here as TEC struggle in that round to really get any space for themselves. Very back and forth though. Nothing like what we saw on Sunset, where it was just kind of a runaway first half. This one has been incredibly scrappy. Really, I think we had the two, so we had pistol and conversion, then we had the anti-bonus, and then that got converted, and then it's just been like 1-for-1 ever since then. Yeah. Neither one of these teams really picking up a streak or getting any crazy momentum. And of course, the flip side of that, maybe not the flip side, same coin, neither of them building up any sort of long-term economy. So we're constantly cycling between eco, buy, neither one feeling comfortable just yet. And I think that if EDG win this next round, they're poised to kind of run away with the half, but we also know how devastating TEC's ecos can be. So, I mean, this is such a tough one to call, and I think a lot of this comes down to the nature of this is a new map, and teams are still figuring it out.
Yeah, I don't know if EDG really expected to be playing this one today. I mean, it's clear that they have put some prep work in. They have an idea about how they want to play the map, but like you said, it's still a very nascent map, Sam, and they're kind of figuring out whether it's better to be for aggressive, whether it's better to play for retakes versus whether it's better to kind of just run it down mid. Talking about running it down though, off the back of that null command, it does look like it's a full send towards this B site, or at least the impression that there's a full send towards this B site. There's gonna be the wingman to at least make a little bit of noise here, but I think that having immediately with that dark cover coming down, there's a pivot over back towards this A side. It's a fake that they're trying to sell, and I mean, they managed to mostly sell it. Not much noise being really made towards mid either, so Lucas doesn't have this information. However, with nobody really coming in towards that B side, it's clear that A is where this is looking to get a push towards, and Hong Kong already being shut down here. Two players, beautiful paranoia as well to shut down the push, and Haodong just tucks himself away in the corner looking to hold on.
Another great lurk that spots out two, and despite knowing exactly where they are, ZJC to get the double up, 3 versus 3 now, and the spike hasn't been planted. They haven't even gotten to sight.
This has been suppressed as well. And I mean, Abo already does rotate over, looking to get a preemptive position in case EDG decide to run. But I mean, at this point, they have to get into the site. That's the sound cue being made. That's the stun or the pull being in position as well. T-Virus with a beautiful shot. Smoggy though with immediate refrag, and now has the ult to try and get out if he chooses to. Abo, however, look at where he is, all the way towards main, just waiting in position for this kill. No expectation at all from Smoggy that this is going to be the case, and beautiful positioning wins them the round towards the end of it. But what a chaotic round.
The forethought to be like, oh, he's got from the shadows, he might just try and take the spike and teleport away. I'm gonna head over to the other side of the map. You got this here, right? Like, if he doesn't, you got this? Great. So they covered themselves so beautifully because time really wasn't on their side. And so the quick reposition over towards that B side shut down that plant, and it's TEC with yet one more round, evening out the scoreline, and around we go, boys. Neither one of these teams, as I mentioned, really getting any sort of momentum going, and I think that's why the coach is now getting involved. EDG, perhaps feeling like this is unfamiliar territory for them to be struggling quite this much.
I feel like it's unfamiliar territory for everybody the way it's going, but yeah, timeout. We just had one the previous round, and immediately another one coming through. EDG looking to try and figure it out here. And I mean, last round, it was, let's just break that round down right in a second. If you look at it, you got like that null command to start things off with, the expectation that it's gonna get you into one of those sites, immediate rotation over. But the problem with rotations on this map is that it takes so bloody long. It takes so long for you to get to the other side that you already have your defensive side who had like just how long there, but then like the time that you get the attacking side gets the rotation over, the defense already has 4 players in place. And after that, it's just a question of trading. I mean, I think that in terms of positioning, TEC have been able to get ahead of the curve for the most part here. It's only been the rounds where there's a full-on fracas towards mid that EDG have been able to find a significant advantage, I would say. And once again, we're in one of those awkward half-buy rounds. Kong, Sheriff in hand, Chichu only Sheriff in hand, and once again, they're looking to push and prod down mid.
Money a serious problem now. Still do have a few guns to work with. Will the investment pay off as Kankan gets that opener? Smoggy to follow it up. TEC off the back of that timeout, instantly giving over 2 easy frags. And now EDG with a massive advantage in the round.
They're going to be able to retrieve one of those rifles, but that could very well be the difference maker. Hawadong, though, strikes out of the shadows, taking down his fallen, avenging his fallen teammate, and Avo, an absolute menace on this particular site. Actually going to be able to launch that Cosmic Divide. Nobody able to, at the very least, retrieve the spike for a little bit. I feel like that Cosmic Divide might have been a little bit hasty, but because the rest of TC haven't really rotated in yet. Plant goes through without much ado. The pull not going to be able to drag anybody off the course of it, and now we're looking at a 3v3. Wow. Gonna be 2 players left, both towards heaven. They know where Smoggy is, but I don't know if they're gonna expect nobody gets the kill onto Smoggy. But now between these 2 players, it's gonna be nobody to come out on top. MVP of the previous map gets a double on this one, and EDG after that timeout bounce back with a round of their own.
Bro, I don't know how many more times I'm gonna have to think about the fact that we just keep going back and forth. No one is allowed to pick up 2 consecutive rounds. It is illegal. I must say, Abo, I feel like, does a lot in that round. The fact that he shuts down the wingman and then gets the follow-up kill. A lot of players might have just backed away instantly after shutting down wingman, but he sticks around that little bit longer to make sure that not only does he get wingman, but he also gives them numbers to play off of as well. EDG now taking the lead in this series. First time in a hot minute.
Ooh, nice smoke to come down. Hawadong takes a little bit of chip damage, but yeah, again, these smokes have been doing so much deterrence work. There's just so many angles on this map that as soon as the smokes come down, it feels impossible for them to push through. Even though they've got, like, you know, double flashes, they've got the stuns. It is just a battle of attrition, and with these recharging smokes for the Omen, I think that TEC, if they play their cards right, can cause a lot more oppression. I think that the rounds that EG have been able to break through and have been the rounds where they've been able to find those early kills. This time around, despite it being an eco, it still looks so dangerous here for EDG. Oh, the timing, not in favor of T-Virus Luke there. That is so unlucky for him.
Chichu. Okay, a little bit labored, but he gets the first. Now he knows that there's 2 players there. I love how he plays this. He doesn't allow himself to get isolated, so he can still get that first kill. Not able to get the follow-up, however. Haodong perfectly playing the space, but as he turns tail, perhaps trying to recover that gun, runs straight into the waiting arms. And, well, there you go. That round goes a little bit more as expected. We've had quite a few ecos come through, but that one is going to be a little bit more predictable, a little bit more calm and collected. And this should be kind of the... Damn! Okay. It's rough out here, guys.
First knife kill on Corrode in VCT history. Can we say that?
I guess so. EDG now with a 2-round advantage, 2 rounds left in this half. Will it be even Stevens, or will EDG run away with this first?
remains to be seen. Again, aggressive push through. 1-for-1 trade. Kong takes the angle. Chichu finds the trade. And they're going to be pushing forward off the back of it. Again, they have to invest so many of these resources, pages, flashes, just to be able to clear it angle by angle. But it's done the trick here. Drawn the rotation over from this TEC squad towards the A side. And EDG look to take advantage of it. Go towards mid instead of the map. I think that B does look relatively open, but again, look at Abo's position. Taking such a strong, aggressive angle towards B main, gonna make things very difficult if they don't really manage to clear it. For now, though, it's just gonna be Wingman looking to get the spike down, and yeah, the rest of EDG. Oh, still able to get a kill. I thought that ZJC was gonna be messed up there, but still gets away.
A little bit of damage done, but with the spike already having been planted, it's gonna have to be pretty darn perfect. This retake can't really afford to make a misstep. Attack to see if they can bait something out, but nobody is taking that bait. Nobody is biting. EDG now, they're funneling in together. This could be incredibly dangerous. The concuss comes through, but it's blinded. It's an instant trade, and we continue to go back and forth, but it's Smoggy versus Howdong.
Wow.
And it's Howdong that will get the final 2 kills and get that defuse. I think everybody was blind at the end of that round, but not Howdong. He saw everything, and he will get 1 more round for TEC, keeping that gap very doable.
That was pretty unfortunate that every single player was at the same choke point and just got spammed through. All that TC really needed to do was hold that crossfire despite having a numerical disadvantage there. Howdong going absolutely huge, getting this as well as being able to catch the reposition of Swaggy and find that final kill and get the defuse to boot. So yeah, much needed celebration there, to be honest. That looked like a round that TC had no business running with the spike having ticked down that far, but hey, sometimes all you need is for one hero to stand up, and that's exactly what happens in that particular one. Last round of the half now, not the greatest buy here for, well, I wouldn't say not the greatest buy, it's a bit of a weird buy. You've got an Outlaw and you've got an Operator for EDG, even though they're on the attacking side. I'm kind of excited to see how this pays off, but again, they've gone back to their tried and proven favorite strategy of working mid.
Continue to work the map, find the space, look for those openings. The last round now, TEC want to even this out. You can see that in how much more patiently they're playing this. We've seen a lot of like crazy aggression coming through, particularly in the mid to late round. Oh, Kang, uncharacteristic shot miss, and T-Virus takes full advantage of that. Now the null command to come through, but not before the Nightfall can rain down. It's not going to get too much though, and now they'll start pushing in towards this side. Judge locked and loaded and ready to go. Completely blind, can't see anything. Both of the geckos managed to get theirs, but it's Chichu who holds on to that advantage. Smoggy shutting down that overdrive completely, and now Spike to get planted. 1 player left, and
Wow.
Howdong, you will not get to clutch this one. In return, it's the opposing Omen to get the 3K and secure the lead at the half.
Look, firstly, shout out to Abo. I don't know how that man survived for so long with the Judge, just jumping around site looking to do the damage, but also beautiful positioning there in that round from Smoggy. Gets this Beyond kill, shuts it down, and just denies any rotation to come in at all. Beautifully played there by EDG towards the end. It is going to be a 6-6 half. I mean, for considering that this is TEC's map pick, it's not, sorry, it's gonna be 7-5 half as EDG bounce back in that. That's my bad. But I think that, you know, seeing that it's your map pick, you want to be sure that you were the one to come up with the advantage at the halftime. So at TEC now, I hope they manage to, I hope that they have a very cohesive attacking strategy put together, that seeing that this is their map, because EDG's looked a little bit confused sometimes, you know? It felt like they were just doing it on the wing, putting it together on the go. And it worked out, but also, what?
I mean, bearing in mind that TEC were playing a no Sentinel comp, right? So the information that they get and trying to lock down sites, it's a little bit more difficult to get the value out of that. So now we swap sides, and bearing in mind as well that EDG got to pick their starting side. So perhaps teams are feeling like this is a more attacker-sided map, and I think that just by virtue of the fact that it is a new map and teams are still figuring it out, that can very easily be, you know, valid for right now, where teams are going to be getting a lot more value when they're attacking, because you can take advantage of the fact that teams don't really know the best solutions just yet. They're still kind of figuring it out as they go. So perhaps things will change as we head over into our second half, or perhaps it'll just be more of the same. EDG now going to have a cipher, so they've got a lot to get them early information. I don't know how I feel about the KO on defense, though. I think you can get some early info with that, but I think you suffer for not having any sort of real recon. So I'm going to be curious to see how they run this defensive side.
Me too. I think that the lack of that sentinel, we didn't really see it get punished too much, I feel, but that's mainly because Abba was doing a great job of just being like a hardcore anchor on that B side there. This time though, pistol rounds, they've got a almost full-on stack towards this B main area of the map. No one really pushing out quite yet. I think they're waiting for some kind of a sound cue, some kind of a presence being shown here. And I think that Prowler might be the first step as they look to go forward. Kong taking up that early space with the frenzy and shuts down Lucas completely. However, Chichu gets shut down towards mid, so that's going to be a free pivot that's available over towards the other side of the map. I mean, the problem here is that EDG, they've already found 2 crucial kills and put themselves in a 4v3. And of that 3, T-Virus Luke basically has like a sliver of HP.
T-Virus, trying to take this fight, gets chunked down quite heavily, trying to back away, but will eventually get taken out. The spike does get planted, but this 2v4 post plant, it seems like an almost impossibility as EDG come in with full health bars as well. They can take quite a few hits and still keep going. The flash doesn't connect meaningfully, but despite that, it's easy cleanup for EDG. They win the second pistol, bring their scoreline up to 8, and leave us wondering, all right, what is the response going to be? Of course, it is just a pistol round, but the potential precedent that it may set could be devastating if TEC can't find a way back in.
100%, and I think that was such a nice set play from EDG in the beginning, being able to, you know, start things off with that crucial opening kill. They take down both of the initiators as well, I think. So yeah, or at least they take down the Fade, which would have been very crucial in buying a little bit more time with the Haunts, with the Prowlers, with the Seas, whatever you have left in your repository. Interesting buy here on this anti-eco from EDG. Immediately gonna be pushed back. You still do have that Outlaw in play here, but yeah, in the close angle, oof, takes a headshot, but still gonna be able to get away for his troubles as Kong now a reposition available on the site. But Coco with the spam to the smoke actually finds that kill. Abba with the Sheriff as well. Suddenly that's 2 players dropped here, and that might be the call for once again a pivot over towards this A site.
Yeah, a little bit brazen just pushing that angle. Oh, nobody. All right, cool. There you go. Bringing it into a more comfortable position. Spike still at bottom mid. Chichu with yet another 2K to solidify the round, and Smoggy to clean it up. Now, the cage spam was a little bit nuts, just kind of in and of its own right, you know, but it's not necessarily a high-level tactical play. It was just kind of spam the smoke. That's what you do. But the follow-up, the kind of peeking angles that you maybe shouldn't be, getting a little bit too aggressive and then getting punished for it, that very nearly kind of fell to the wayside. But it does end up going the way that we expected. So now with TEC going to be in a buy, still struggling to build up to those ults, and I think that not having those available, you know, you're going to potentially give over 2 more rounds before you even have a chance to use them. So this is going to put them in a tight spot.
1-for-1 trade to start things off with, but oh my god, despite the lesser eco, nobody making it count with the Bulldog. We were talking about this man's Bulldog skills in the beginning of the previous map there, and now gonna be able to pick himself up and upgrade too. Oh, goes for the repeat or the attempt at a re-clear here, at least trying to deny the wingman from being picked up. But look at this EDG, they're out in full force right now, picked up multiple upgrades, and yeah, it's gonna be the rookie DJC to wrap things up here. A very successful bonus round for EDG, and that's gonna put them up put them up to 9.
Yeah, that's a bit of a weird, I mean, I say it's a weird result, let's face it. We've seen so many crazy ecos throughout the course of the series so far. Maybe it shouldn't come as any surprise that EDG are able to make magic happen, even with just 3 bulldogs and a couple of pistols. For TEC, that was a really needed round. They didn't really get to build up to much of anything. Obviously, they got a few orbs for dying. Aside from that, they're still a bit of a ways off from actually having some of that util, but EDG now on double digits and continuing to control this space from start to finish. TEC just don't have an opening.
A bit unfortunate for Kong Kong, but that's what you got, a friend and nobody, able to find these kills and these trades. Kong Kong once again being able to jump in once he was out of the stun to get a double kill of his own. And I mean, at least trades weren't too bad in terms of the favor of ED for TEC, but it's still going to be a 3v2. And bigger problem here is that the spike is going to be dropped all the way down in mid, so you have to get through Kong Kong here. You can't just walk into his crosshairs. He's not going to miss like that. And yeah, 1v3 situation. Spike dropped in the open here, and yeah, Kong Kong with the no scope to close things out here. That's just a flex at that point. Yeah, that's the aura we know and love. What the heck?
I think like the Dizzy comes out and it forces Kang off of his position, and normally that would be great, except look at this, they've set up a crossfire. So as soon as you try to take advantage, you're like, oh, there's somebody behind that box, they're blind. Okay, sweet, but you haven't done anything to deny that 50-50. You've got to put up like a smoke or something. Like, you've got to find a way to shut out those sight lines. And unfortunately, with that being an eco round, they very likely didn't have all of the utility that they would have wanted to in that round, so they couldn't take full advantage, and it does slip through their fingers. 11-5 now is the score. TEC yet to pick up a round on the second half, and a reminder that this was their map pick. This was the arena that they felt comfortable taking this battle to. And unfortunately, it feels like they're just not getting any sort of leverage. That first half, very back and forth, very kind of trade heavy, 1-for-1, but then now into the second, just haven't been able to find a footing, a foothold, something to help propel them to just a few more rounds.
I mean, we're talking about like how big this map is and how important it is going to be to be able to find control of it, but I feel like the more I watch this map, I feel that it does tend to look defender-sided because the rotations just take so long for the attacking side to really get anywhere. And now Kong Kong going to be able to find that upgrade as well to an operator. I mean, we already saw the damage that he did with the Outlaw. That 4K was just absolutely disgusting. Talking about ultimates though, Crasher is going to be online here for Coco. I think they're going to be probably using that right on the onset of the route. Doesn't really catch anything though, so it is just going to be a wasted ult. Just going to be a 1-for-1 trade though, as nobody finally gets shut down here. Okay, small
man. I mean, this util spam is outrageous, and nobody really getting anything off of the util. A lot of this is coming off the back of just swinging and hitting shots. But in terms of the actual like getting value from the util, it hasn't really come to fruition so far. You could maybe say that zoning forms a part of it. But with 3 versus 3 now, this A site is locked down. And TEC need to reconsider. They don't necessarily know that there are still 3 players or 2 players on the site. They probably have an inkling. They don't. It's not a given. And with the fact that we've got Chichu moving in from mid to kind of set up this crossfire, oh man, if they had cast a vision, if they only knew an instant trade out, Omen for Omen. The Astra down as well, and there's Kang activating for the last 2 kills of the round. EDG go up to 12, and TEC look like they just don't know what to do.
Gonna be a huge round there. Kong Kong with the AWP able to find 2, but more than that, like you said, Sam, all of these ultimates didn't really come to anything. It was just like a raw duel down the mid, and I think that with that crash finding no impact, it was just a question of who traded better at that point, and that definitely seemed to be EDG coming out on the top of it. Once again, economy gonna be in a bit of a pitfall here for TEC. Can't really afford to go in for an eco though at Fightswell, so just gonna be them putting together everything they can in this particular round. They do have the Cosmic Divide as well as the From the Shadows to try and take a little bit of space, maybe make a crunch play with, but aside from that, I mean, they have just struggled to make their way into sight. A very interesting Cosmic Divide here. Clearly positioned towards that A side. You do have the Omen TPing in right behind as well. I don't know if they caught that sound cue quite yet, but this crash timing could be very bad. Okay, nobody. I don't know how you survived that, but still, just gonna be TEC to find a triple kill right there in the corner thanks to Howardon's TP.
Oh man, they threw so much into this. The Thrash, the Nightfalls just come out as well, and I mean, they do have a massive advantage into the round. Maybe the Nightfall wasn't necessary, but not willing to take any risks. They know the op is still in play, so the spike can get planted. But EDG, I mean, I suppose you try and make it expensive, but I don't think that there's much more that you want to try and invest into this. You can already see they're backing away, and instead of, taking this fight unnecessarily, they'll hold for potential exits, but they know when a round is lost. And yeah, very expensive with how much went into this. Actually realizing that they're now not going to have much of anything. They're one pip away from overdrive, so if they can get that early on, maybe that can help kind of propel them a little bit more. They've given over a gun unnecessarily by trying to kind of hunt down a bit, so that could also come to bite them in the end. And looking at over at EDG, they also have an overdrive. They're one away from a null command, and they're one away from the shadows. So I don't know, man. This round gives them a stay of execution. It gives them one more round to make a miracle happen, but they come into the next round with very little. The first round that they've won in this half is off the back of 3 ultimates. You can't do that every round. So how does the plan change now? Because you can't do that again. So how are you going to keep up any sort of momentum now, or build some sort of momentum?
For a second I thought I saw a double up in the hands of nobody, but yeah, he switched back to the Vandal. And I mean, to answer your question, Sam, it would have to be round by round, but again, that question that you raised about whether they're gonna be able to do it without ultimates, it's gonna be a bit of an uphill climb for sure. 6 rounds to get them to OT and then 2 more to propel them over the line. I don't think EDG is just gonna let it happen by any means. So yeah, it is gonna be nobody, as well as Smoggy take an aggressive angle. Haunt gets broken early on, so no information to really come through. But you still do have this extremely aggressive double peek coming in towards mid. Prowler to try and clear off the angle, and Smoggy actually choosing to fall back here. They do have this kind of aggressive setup to come through, especially thanks to the KO having cleared out A main completely. They know that the push is coming towards B, and that's where all the Cypher util is, the operator is, the Gecko himself is. Yeah, it's not going to be a very easy time for them to get through, unless, of course, they're able to explode onto site.
Playing this info starve has been devastating. Kang now in the perfect position, already takes down T-Virus. The cages come up, and there's the tiniest gap. Oh man, okay, nobody is brave enough to push that. But look, they're about to run into ZJC, tucked into a corner here. Surely there's got to be an inkling, and yes, there is. They're not willing to push that, but now they don't have choices. They don't have options. They're going to push straight through a great blind, but despite that, it's Kang with the collab continuing to be a menace. Pulls out the overdrive, does get shut down. Now Coco cannot survive even a moment longer. The right click will shut him down and send EDG to 1-0 in their group. TEC with the severely out of left field pick of Corrode, but unfortunately, well, I guess EDG were also prepared to play this map. Maybe not necessarily as their pick, but they were ready for it, and they absolutely dominated.
Yeah, I mean, they left it open in the veto. They were like, all right, if anybody really wants to pick this against us, you gotta play it at some time, some place. So they decided to let it through today, and yeah, I mean, I think they did a really good job. Like, shout out to TEC. They had a couple of really iconic rounds. I think Abo in particular, who was playing lights out today, did his best to make this a good close map. And I think that despite a really bad start on that first map, there was a decent amount of recovery from TEC. It's just that EDG, they're kind of the demons of the region for a reason, and they are so back right now. I think getting back in with a win like this is exactly what they needed to start off their stage 2 here in VCT China. But like you said, Sam, it's kind of nice that the first team that you play is EDG. Like, you get it out of the way here, relax a little bit after that.
Yeah, and I think that also, testing out your Corrode against such a strong team gives you the opportunity to kind of go back and maybe readdress things. Like, all right, cool, now we've played it. I mean, we've scrimmed it, but nobody takes scrimbuck seriously. So now you can go back and you can workshop a little bit and see, okay, where did our comp succeed? Where did our comp fail? What adaptations can we make? What new protocols can we come up with? Because this is just day one. So there is a lot of opportunity to turn things back around. You look at the group that they're in. So they've got Trace, and they've got Tai Lu, they've got JDG, and then of course Billy. So a pretty strong group all in all, but I think that realistically this would have been one of the toughest matches for them. So at least now they can kind of walk away with their heads up to a certain extent. Yes, the second map was a bit more one-sided than what they would have wanted, but the first map they actually did manage to get a lot done. They showed a lot of tenacity, they showed some really good stuff, and we're looking forward to seeing what they're going to be able to do as the season goes on. And of course, we'll be taking a look at some of the stats in just a moment. And I really want to see who's going to come out on that MVP, because it felt like there were so many options. There were so many players that were really like just performing out of their minds.
I feel like it's just gonna be a Kong run, especially once he got that operator. Bro was consistently raking up 2 or 3 kills per round. So yeah, but like you said, it seemed like a lot of people on the team were playing like absolutely light out. Smoggy in terms of positioning around the map. Chichu, it was a bit of a quieter map for him, but I feel like after, you know, sweating so hard in map number 1, he deserved a little bit of a rest. I think though in terms of not just statistics, but in terms of impact, nobody would definitely have to be like one of my star players for today, because he was just finding so many of those crucial trades, so many of those multi-frags that made the round possible. And on this particular map, I think that consistently it was him showing up again and again to make sure that the numbers stayed in favor of EDG a lot of the time. So yeah.
And obviously we've got to give a shout out to ZJC, who has slotted into this EDG roster somewhat seamlessly and has actually been pretty impressive. You know, maybe not necessarily the top fragger that, you know, you want to scream and shout about, because let's face it, Kang is almost always going to have that spot, but a lot of really impactful clutch moments that I think made a massive difference. And also the play on the KO. Look, I'm not the hugest KO fan in general, but I think that there were a lot of opportunities made off the back of his util that they could play off of really well. So gonna be feeling good about that one. And of course, like you said, it will be Kang to be your MVP of the second map. Not as high of a KDA as we saw in the first map, but still pretty darn decent with an ACS of 328. That is hectic.
A little bit of a shorter map, you know, give the guy some slack. I'm sure next time he'll pick up the pace. But yeah, six multi-kills for Kong. I don't even want to guess how many first bloods. And I mean, throughout the scoreboard, you can see that there is just a little bit of a team diff here. I mean, shout out to Hawadong. He did his best to keep the numbers up. But yeah, it seems like almost every single member of EDG crossed 200, while only one of TEC had that fate, so just a little bit of a fragger diff here. Though, I mean, to be fair, it's very hard to really counter when you have Kong, nobody, and Smoggy just running up in your face towards mid with a couple of sheriffs in hand. Looking at the thing here, I mean, yes, to be fair, TEC didn't really get to play too many attacking rounds. They kind of struggled in that aspect. But aside from that, I mean, EDG, even though it was a bit of a even-handed start on this map, once they understood the way that their opponents were playing, their map positioning, and they understood that mid was what they needed to kind of consistently find control of on that attacking side, they were able to take that lead. And I think they used that principle throughout that map very well.
Yep, and now just a quick overview for those of you who just joined us. Well, you're a little bit late to the party, but here's a recap. Our first map was a 13-9 in favor of EDG on their own map pick, which was Sunset, and then we headed over to Corrode for map number 2, which was a 13-6 on TEC's map pick. So a bit of a disappointing performance from TEC on their own map. We definitely would have wanted to see a little bit more out of them, but I think that is one of the things you risk when you're picking into the newest map in the pool, because you could be feeling very confident on it, but you don't necessarily know what other teams are stratting it and what other teams are pracking it and getting ready to face whoever on it. And unfortunately, on the day, they just did not have what they needed. Now it looks like we do have an interview, so let's toss it over to our translator.
Hello, 大家好。 Hello， 好久不见了！今天发挥真的非常的出色，也是第一张地图的 MVP。想知道你在休赛这段期间都做了哪些方面的练习，同时是如何去准备今天这场关键的揭幕战的？
我们休赛期间就是首先就是放松一下嘛，然后至于说备战的话，应该也就做一个新地图的研究吧，因为毕竟这个第一场的揭幕战我们也是没有什么信息的，就只能打自己的东西。
打自己的东西，而且你说到了这个新地图嘛，今天也是带来了沿海矿镇的全球。
And he says we first like
是我们所有玩家
relax a
赛
bit.
段最期待的一张地图。你对于
And we mostly focus on like figuring out the new map.
目前为止我们打的内容就是中路乱斗，然后战斗爽。
中路乱斗，战斗爽，确实非常适配你们的打法风格。因为在这之前，可能很多
And this is the debut of international debut of Corrode.
适配。你们今天是拿出一个双先锋嘛？为什么觉得双先锋比较好？同时和对方的这个双烟相比，你认为优劣之处？
And he says I think the most of the stuff we played today was a lot of mid fights, very heavy mid fight.
对方就是信息缺失，然后我们也是被迫的，就是打一些反清嘛。但是其实
And what do you think a double initiator is good in this
双
map?
先锋更加适合我们的风格，就战斗。
And the pros and cons.
是的，更加适合你们的风格，打起来也是非常舒服的。今天战果也是让大家。
And I think he thinks that with double smokes you can stop a lot of teams at the choke.
大家都很熟悉的一个老朋友了。
And I think they focused on playing more like re-clears of
首
places.
先他也是就是一个打过世界赛的选手嘛，然后就是经验也比较丰富，然后玩过的位置也很多，给了我们就是阵容上更大的这个宽度吧。
打起来会更加舒服一点。
是的。
And how did ZGC's inclusion in this stage help you guys?
第二赛的展望就是跟字母哥一起拿个冠军吧。
And he says that he's pretty experienced, has some international experience.
期待你们之后更好的表现，也希望你可以完成这个目标。再次感谢 Nobody 选手接受我们的采访，我们的赛后采访到这里就全部结束了，拜拜。
And his goal is to get the champions with ZJC. And we hope that he hopes that we can achieve their goals. And that's about it.
Thank you so much, Beatos, for that live translation of the winner's interview. A lot of interesting insights there, right? They like to control mid quite a lot, and they really felt like TEC were focusing more on re-clears, more so than just kind of taking that space for themselves. And I think we really felt that, and a lot of that is off the back of have a sentinel, so you kind of have to play re-clear. You don't have any other options. So very cool to have that little bit of info coming through as well. Zach, what are your kind of last knee-jerk reactions to this series? Because I think we're very close to closing out the day.
I'm very sad we didn't see any Odin action on Corrode. That's like my main takeaway from today that we didn't see. But aside from that, I think it was really interesting to see this map get picked up and played in the first place. I think in terms of agent comps, there's still a lot of evolution to be done. But yeah, I think the lesson we learned today at least is if you are playing without a sentinel, please be careful because you're gonna have to use a lot of your resources in just re-clearing things all the time. And also KO is kind of a goated agent on this map. I really wasn't putting KO very high up in my initiator checklist. I was like, yeah, you've got Fade. I think Fade is the best, and you got like Gecko, of course, but then yes, you got Teho. But I think that KO with all the tight angles and stuff, definitely a lot of impact that you were able to have. And yeah, overall, I mean, scoreboard wise, it is gonna be Nobody who is the highest ranked player. I know it's only been one game so far, guys, but still, it's pretty impressive on the initiator role. Those are my closing thoughts. I can keep talking, but yeah.
No, you know what? Nobody had a fantastic day, no matter how you look at it. So congratulations to them. Congratulations to EDG for winning our very first match of VCT China Stage 2. Guys, we do only have the one match today, unfortunately, but we will be back again tomorrow. And tomorrow we've got a double whammy, and it's going to be incredibly exciting. We're going to have Billy taking on Tai Lu for our very first matchup. And then hold on to your hats because it's going to be the All Gamers taking on Shilai Gaming. So very, very excited to see how that goes. Oh, I love this. VCT China knew that this was happening. So love that. Oh, no, sorry. It is only just the one game. I got overexcited. Damn. only one game tomorrow, BLG versus Tai Lu. The other game will be the day after. But either way, make sure that you are back here, same time, same place, for more VCT China Stage 2 action. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here, for supporting us. We really, really appreciate it from the bottom of our hearts. It's a passion project, and we are so happy to be able to bring you the English coverage of VCT China. So until tomorrow, stay safe, have a wonderful day, evening, morning, and we'll see you guys very soon.